welcome, good evening, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Amazing Amazon, where you get inspired and motivated by great personalities that will share their story behind their successes. Yes, today is a beautiful day, another time to get inspired. So welcome on board, welcome to the show. I am Tosin Adeyemi. The labor market that relies heavily on part-time positions to be filled by freelancers rather than full-time is called the gig economy. And as women are saddled with responsibilities on the home front, we need flexibility at work to be able to attend to family and other matters. So today on the show, we're speaking with a global talent consultant who will be enlightening and educating us about the gig economy and how women can actually embrace these platforms to be able to get their remote works, their gig works. All right, so join me as I meet my guests to have this conversation. Yes, welcome back to the show. It's the interview segment, and today I will be speaking with a global talent consultant in person of Ms. Temitope Olukunle. So nice to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a privilege to be here.
Yeah, you look good.
Thank you, you too.
All right, so tell us more about Temitope Olukunle and what you're into basically.
Awesome. So my name is Temitope Olukunle, and I am a global talent consultant. I like to call myself a gig economist as well. I'm in HR tech, and basically what I do is recruit for corporate organizations, global brands, and international companies coming into Africa to recruit talent, tech talent, and African talent in general, because there is a surge, there's a high demand for talent that are coming out of Africa, right? And there had to be a positioning for some people. I know we have HR consultants within the system, within the economy as well. But some people have to position for the global opportunities coming as well. So I bridge the gap, between the opportunities that are coming into Africa, into Nigeria specifically, and of course, getting access to opportunities for the talents that are in Nigeria.
Wow, this is really interesting. Like you help people secure global opportunities.
Global remote opportunities.
Global remote opportunities. Yes. Wow, great.
Thank
so now, before we go further into the discussion, which is women access, how women can harness the gig economy world. So now, let's know more about you. How can you describe yourself? Like you're growing up. Let's begin with that.
Awesome. That is interesting because, it's been a journey. It's a journey indeed. So I started my career, my first degree was in Ekiti State University. I studied geography and town planning. I had my second degree from the University of Lagos. I had diplomacy and strategy. But I'm currently not practicing any of that. So I started my career as an executive assistant to a CEO. And then I was covering for operations and administration, and of course HR, human resources. I've always been interested in, the human resources space, the people, the processes, the P's. I like to call them the 4 P's: the processes of a business, the people of a business, the procedures in a business, even project management of a business. So I started as an executive assistant, and then I think I moved from there into co-operations. There was a time I grew to become the GOM of an organization, the group operations manager. And my last physical 9-to-5 role that I held, I was the vice president for operations and human resources. But I had to take a back seat from 9 to 5, physically going to, for work, physically going to the office for 9 to 5 to focus on my gig economy work, my freelancing and the remote work. And that's why I got into the global talent acquisition space, recruiting for organizations. So that is me pretty much. That is the journey so far. And I've been in this space for the past 3 years as a global talent consultant.
Wow, I can see you're so passionate about what you do. All right, but we want to know how your childhood experience was like.
Wow, okay. Well, that in itself is a journey as well, and it's a story. So my secondary school was here in Lagos. I schooled in Epe. Epe is a local government in Lagos. I had my secondary school at the Army Children High School. And while growing up as well, it wasn't that smooth, of course. We had to hawk. I mean, we had to sell things for my mom. She had a store then. So we had to hawk things on the streets of Ekpe, growing up. But of course, after secondary school, I had to
With your siblings as well?
Well, I'm the last one. So they had grown up. I mean, I was the only one growing up with my cousins. So we did all of the hawking together, right? But I had the other ones who had grown, who were no longer in the space. And they lived a life that I thought, okay, there is a possibility out there. There is life beyond this space where, we're just in secondary school, just moving around, just doing all of the things that we can do. And so immediately after secondary school, I had to leave Lagos to join my brother in Abuja, who has been in Abuja for the past decades, for some decades now. So I had to join him. And I think that's really where the journey to personal development started for me, because he's a very disciplined person, right? And I think that's really where journey to self-discovery started, growth started after secondary school, and then personal discovery. That's where it really started. So that's the journey for secondary school, childhood growing up. Then after that, I had to wait 5 years to get admission because I was writing JAMB, writing post-UME.
And JAMB
was jamming me anyhow, right? And sometimes I get the JAMB scores right, but when we get to the level of the post-UTM, right, I get to miss it, maybe one line, maybe one mark or something. And I wanted to study medicine and surgery. I mean, I wanted to study something because I did sciences, right? Okay. And then there was a particular year that I said, okay, what was the subject that I really loved when I was in secondary school? Because I don't know what is going on, why, I'm not getting this right, especially when it comes to physics and chemistry. And I found out that I was good with people. When it comes to people, I was good with, the human and the physical environment, talk about people basically. And I said, okay, I don't want to do sociology. Let me go for geography, because I was really good with geography when we were in school. And, and I'm good with planning as well. So there's a combination of a course in school, geography and planning. So I went for that course. And I think that's how it really started. That's really the childhood story.
Okay, so after then, I understand that you said during your childhood you were okay, and you had to join your uncle or your brother in Abuja. Do you have any childhood trauma? Because I believe that for every grown person right now, you will always have something that you've done during your childhood that each time you remember, you feel bad about it. So do you have any kind of thing you did, like a childhood trauma or something that you experienced when you were a child that you still can remember right now?
Well, to be honest, I don't have anything like that I can't remember as a trauma. No, not at all. I had a very protective mom. As a single mom raising children all by herself, she was everything. She was the mom, she was the dad before we lost her, right? So she was everything. She was protective. So there are guidelines. You can't go out and not come back by a certain time. If I'm going to visit a friend, she has to make sure and place a call through or reach out to say, oh, she said she's coming to your place by 4 p.m. She should be back. So I even thought I had a very rough and strict childhood growing up, because my mom was really very strict. Everybody in the streets would know if you don't meet up to a time. If you say you're coming by 4 p.m. back and you're not back, everybody will know, because my mom will be panicking. So we had that type of guidelines while growing up. So there wasn't anything traumatic for me in my childhood. I had the privilege to learn a lot from my mom as well. She was that person that would stand up in a public bus while we're traveling to pray. So as a growing up child, very shy, I would see her do that. And I started doing that too when I got into university. I would be scared and shy while in the bus, maybe from Abuja to Ekiti, because my first degree was in Ekiti. But I would stand up anyway to say, guys, let's pray. And I would do it anyway. So for me, that was really the background.
So you got that and learned that from your mom.
Absolutely. Standing up even when it's not convenient, right? I do it afraid, I do it shy, but I do it anyway.
Yes, I really love that. Okay, so now, who would you say had the major influence on you while growing up?
Woo. I would have loved to say my mom, and that's the honest truth, because of course the first 18 years of my life she was around. But if I'm going to be honest, it would be my brother. Yes, because I grew up living with him the knowing years of my life, which is the teenage and the adulthood years. I was already with him. He's married with his family. So I had to learn and relearn and unlearn a lot. He's a pastor, he's a professional, he's a leader. So I had to see all the dimensions. He has a library. Growing up in secondary school, we weren't seeing all of that, but he had a personal library at home. I was waiting for admission. I didn't have a choice than to open the library to read books. They were what we could not use in the house, maybe for the children. In secondary school, it wasn't a big deal. We used those words on ourselves. But in his house, it's not allowed. No, you don't use those words on my kids. So I had to learn a lot. It was really like, okay, what's going on? Are we not family? Are you not my brother? But those were the formative years of my own life. I'm going to be honest. And it really built the foundation for me, because by the time I got into secondary school, I was getting into leadership positions like I had done it before. It's because I've seen someone do it. So it's literally the model for me, and it's the most influence, if I would say, in my life.
So now, at what stage or at what age would you say, like, you started living your dream, like what you do now? At what stage?
Okay. Because we're still living the dreams, right?
Yes.
The journey is still ahead. But I would say that that would be maybe after coming out of school. And it wasn't always smooth, like, oh, we knew what we're going to do. In fact, I would say it's probably in recent times, because the journey was not smooth. Even my career journey, I kept thinking to myself, I'm good with administration and supporting CEOs, but I also want to build a career in HR. So which should I go for? I love how CEOs trust me with responsibilities of overseeing their work, the operations, the administration, the units. But I also thought, okay, I also love people. I love to speak with people. I love to, oversee the human resources space. So I have a chance now to decide which way I want to go. And there was a time I had 3 different CVs. I had a CV for HR, I had a CV for being an executive assistant, I had a CV for being an operations person, because it was just really all over the place. But I think the journey really started in recent years, maybe in 2 years, that I said, okay, you know what? This is really where I want to position. This is what I want to do. Every other skills and capacities and expertise and experience that I have will support this. But I don't want to be all over the place anymore. So for me, I think it will be in the last 2 years. I started discovering that this is where I want to position, and I'm going to do everything to ensure that I'm doing what I said I would do. And this year I made the move to resign from my high-paying job that I thought was a dream job. I decided to resign to say, you know what, I want to do this. Remote working, gig economy, it's the future of work. I want to do this. And that's where I am right now.
All right, let's talk about challenges that you face. Maybe like beginning this journey, what are the challenges that you face? Maybe from people, or from your family, or from anywhere. Challenges that you face and how you were able to overcome them.
Awesome. I think the challenges would also be in terms of the decisions that I've made. So for example, resigning from a high-paying job that was paying at least above average of what, typical Nigerians would earn. That alone, for people, like, they can't get it. Like, why would you resign? You should be doing it on the side. But I've been doing it on the side for years, right? But there comes a time where conflict of interest, I need to give the employer the time that he deserves because it's paying for my time. But I also wanted to do my thing. I was losing out international opportunities while at it. So the challenges would be the lack of understanding of people to get it. They can't get it. Why would you do that? The second thing would be the unawareness of people about this space. The gig economy is not a space that a lot of people are aware of yet. So when you say you work remotely or you work from home, they think you're not serious. But I remember somebody used to jokingly call me a Yahoo girl, like, because you're always on your laptop. They can't get it. So that alone as well is just now, this year, especially since the pandemic, post-COVID, people are beginning to understand that you can work remotely effectively and efficiently. And for organizations as well, the challenges would be they don't have the digital infrastructure to enable you work from home. So they won't allow you work remotely because they think that you won't do the job. And that's because they don't have the digital infrastructure to ensure that their employees are doing the work and they can see that they are doing the work. Because presence does not equate performance. You don't have to be present to be performing. But that is a challenge for a lot of businesses and entrepreneurs in Nigeria.
Okay, now I believe for every profession, there must be someone that you look up to that inspires you, like someone that you look up to that motivates you. So in this field that you are, who is that person? Who are those that you look up to that inspires you a lot?
Well, there are quite a number of them in this space. But if I'm going to be honest, in the gig economy space, I don't see anyone who inspires me apart from the CEO of one of the largest platforms. I'm just going to keep the name, right? Because these are future-forward people that are thinking ahead, creating the platforms that are enabling global talent like ourselves to position ourselves and have access to income all over the world. But of course, a lot of people inspire me. And I think one of the major persons that inspire me a lot would be Olukunle, PK. PK is driving the movement of the borderlessness. He started this post-COVID during the pandemic, actually, and he's been saying this since 2018. If you don't know PK, please look him up, right? And for me, it was one of the messages that I heard from PK was called the borderlessness. It was when he began to say that as a professional, you can begin to take your skills and expertise to penetrate cultures and go global without leaving the shores of your country. So from your corner in Ajangbadi, you can be working with international brands in Singapore without leaving Nigeria. So people talk about Japan, but it's the age of telemigration where your skills can migrate, even if you don't do physically. So he inspires me a lot. And I learned a lot from that. And I still learn from him, of course. So he will be the major person that has been a major influence.
I love that point. I love that line where you said your skill will migrate, but not you migrating yourself. Yes. Okay, we'll be talking more about that in the second part. But before we conclude this part of the conversation, now, you personally, can you now say that you are living your dream? Even if it's not your childhood, you said it that like 2 years ago you discovered. Can you now say you are living your dream?
Yes, absolutely, I can.
So who have you impacted? What have you achieved so far in this space?
Awesome. Well, for me, there's quite a lot to unpack there. In fact, I've trained over 1,000 people on getting into the gig economy. In the last 2-3 months, or this year alone, I've had conferences and summits. I've had hundreds of people come on board just to learn how to position in this space. I have a community of borderless professionals. It's a community of future-forward freelancers where, opportunities, strategies, entry strategies are being discussed by over 250 there that we discuss impact with. So that's, for me, there are 3 things that guide the work that I do in my life right now. It is impact, it is income, and it is influence. So when it comes to income, that's my work, Global Talent Consultant. I earn from it. I earn in foreign currencies from that. When it comes to impact, it's the building, giving back to the society. It's the community I'm trying to build, whether my online platforms or
you
my
have your own community.
Yes,
now.
I do.
How did you create your community?
Well, it started with this first set of people that I trained, or maybe the second or third set of people. I just thought about it that it's time to begin to bring people together in this space. That yes, I've trained you, but sometimes people need ongoing support, access to opportunities. Regularly we have sessions. Tomorrow we're having a session discussing some strategy in writing proposals. It's from the community. Some of them raised it to say, tell me, how about we talk about proposal writings as a gig economist? And I said, okay, you know what, let's do it on Friday, 8 p.m. West African time. We'll be doing that. So that's an impact to work for me, and that's how I give back. So I have a lot of programs. This weekend alone, I have speaking engagement, about 4. It's still impact. That's how I give back in my own way.
All right. Okay, so we would like to talk more on the second part of the conversation, gig economy. You said you've been doing this for over 3 years.
Over 2 years. Yes.
Over 2 years.
Yes.
Now, we'll talk more on the second part of the conversation. We'll go on a short break now, so when we come back, we'll talk more on it.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, viewers, stay with us. We'll be back after this time out. All right, welcome back to the final lap of the interview segment. That's the discussion part. Yes, I've been speaking with Temitope Olukunle, a global talent consultant. And in this second part of the conversation, we'll be talking about women, why women need to harness the gig economy. There's a lot to learn today from our guest. So now, I want you to tell us, because I know a lot of people hearing the word gig economy. Probably some people will be hearing this for the first time. So tell us everything all about gig economy. What's it all about?
Awesome. Thank you so much for the question. So the gig economy, the word gig itself really came from the word, for entertainers or for artists, when they said they have a gig, like a performance. And gig is also like a short form contract where people give you something to do, within a short period of time. And so when we talk about the gig economy, it's just the evolution of the way we work. The way we work has changed. So I'm going to give practical examples. We're also in the viral economy. There was a time we had the knowledge economy. What do I mean? Knowledge economy where people started teaching, monetizing their passion and their knowledge. You see, almost everybody now is a coach. They're selling something, they're teaching something, creating digital products, PDFs, ebooks, That's a knowledge economy. It came also as a result of the evolution of the internet penetration. The viral economy as well, if you go online these days, people do almost anything to go viral. They don't mind it, whether it's I call it the controversial economy, in fact. People do things intentionally controversial.
Yeah.
They intentionally leak things that should be detrimental to their image, but they know what they're doing. You would visit their page.
Sure.
You would look for them. And that alone is money, because analytics, data is gold. Because you show an investor or a brand that you're about to influence for, you show them data. I have 1.2 million people visit my page every month. That is fundamental, because they know that whether they are coming for good reason or bad reason, they are going to see my product.
Yeah.
So the gig economy as well is the platform where professionals, career professionals, go position and they have access to contract-based opportunities. Right. So the things you do on gig economy, for example, brands that are in transport, the ride-hailing platforms. There's a rider, there is a drive. You come together, you have access to the ride. That's the gig economy. E-commerce platforms, there's a seller, there's a buyer, you come there, you buy. So for career professionals as well, we have career platforms like that are marketplace, where people post their jobs, organizations post their job. Professional career people go their talent to apply for the jobs. In simple terms, that's really the gig economy. And so for career professionals, we just talk about freelancing, because freelancing is then you getting access to these opportunities through the gig economy. So that's it.
So basically, it's like a platform where you can actually get opportunities to, like, job opportunities full-time, like a freelancer. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So there are platforms, just like I said, I didn't want to mention the name of the transport platforms, ride-hailing platforms. So there are platforms as well that are aiding the gig economy for career professionals. What they do is you position yourself as a freelancer, and there are clients who will go there to post jobs as well. So there are two things you do there. You are either posting jobs or you are applying for the jobs. So you are either an organization or you're a freelancer or talent. And we are called three different things. You can be called a freelancer, an independent contractor, or a consultant.
Or a gig worker.
Or a gig worker, absolutely. I love that.
All right, so let's talk about, because I know that a lot of people are hearing this for the first time. Let's talk about I know you mentioned some benefits. Now let's talk about more benefits. I want us to focus on women, because women, they are saddled with responsibilities at the home front. How can they actually harness, like, grab this opportunity, benefit from this gig economy?
Awesome, I love that. And because I'm a woman, of course, and I know that there's a lot of possibilities. So there are different types of women. And, we have the stay-at-home moms.
Yeah.
We have people who want to build, don't go on the days where, women have to sacrifice their career because they want to raise a kid. Being in the gig economy as a freelancer, you can be your stay-at-home mom. You want to raise your kids, have time for your family, but you're also building your career because you're working from home. You're working from anywhere. So you can access opportunities online, and you are having time for your kids. You're at home, and you're also freelancing, you're working. The second set of people, I'll call them maybe the world travelers. You want to travel the world, because as a gig worker or as a freelancer, you can work from anywhere. So whether you're in Japan today, tomorrow you're in Dubai, and next tomorrow you're back to Nigeria, as long as you have access to internet and your system or your phone, you are working. What you need is the internet, the Wi-Fi, and your system. You're working from anywhere. So for you, whether your dream is to travel around the world, but if you're working somewhere in your country, in Nigeria or in Lagos, who have time to be giving you holidays every time?
Sure.
You have your allocated time in the year. But for you want to travel the world every time. Then freelancing is for you, because with that, you're a digital nomad. You're traveling, you're working at the same time, you're earning. Another set of people will be professional career people. Or, some of us who want to build businesses through freelancing. It's an infusion of a business and career. Because as an entrepreneur as well, you can decide which is what I'm doing to build a business out of your freelancing career. So I'm no longer just a recruiter of organization. I'm a talent consultant, meaning that I'm setting up a system where I can also bring in people on board. I have team members that when I'm working, they're also working. Access to opportunities for them. That's an agency through freelancing. So the opportunities are enormous for people. As women, the opportunities are enormous. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, you actually did. Yes. This sounds really interesting. Now, do you have to, some women do not have tech skills, are there some skills you need to have to be able to access this opportunity? Because a lot of women, I would say that maybe like let me just say 50% of women would love to work from home. But do you need to have a particular skill to be able to access this opportunity?
Okay, so to be honest, the currency of the gig economy is skills. And what do I mean by that? If you're an entrepreneur, you're into buying and selling. If it's about being a freelancer, it might not work for you. There are other gig platforms that can work for you. Those are e-commerce, where you can sell.
Okay.
But as a freelancer, it means that you have a transferable skill that can be worked with. So whether it's administrative skills, whether it's operational skills, customer service, you're a front-end developer, a software engineer, you are a social media manager, a digital marketer, you're a virtual assistant, you're an HR, you have to have a skills that you can because the client organizations who need freelancers, they're mostly corporate organizations or individual or solo entrepreneurs. So they need people who can work with them online. So the first thing I would say is skills, but you don't have to be in tech to freelance. However, technology is the driver of this new economy.
Exactly.
So even being on those platforms, it's technology. So you need to know certain tools that are being used in your industry or your sector. So maybe you're a customer service person. What are the CRM tools? What are the softwares and applications they use in your industry? Because that's how you would work. If you are a banker, you are in insurance, you're a developer, you are in HR, are there HR tools they use? Do you know how to use the basic applications and the software? So I would say skill up first. If you have to learn something, learn it. If you know it already, then you are good to go. But you don't have to be in tech. But technology is the driver of all the things that we do.
You don't have to be in tech,
yes,
but technology is still the driver.
It's still the
so
driver.
You need to
have online.
Yeah.
Yes.
You need to have an idea on the type of technology needed in your own field.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's talk about the skills that is mostly appreciated. That's like a sellable or a buyable skill that is really in the marketplace, like what I call it hot cake. Let's talk about that.
Well, there are quite a number of them, we're going to be honest. We call them the in-demand skills. And to be honest, these days, everybody knows. Everybody's pivoting into tech, right? So being in tech is because a lot of organizations, they want tech guys, engineers to come on board, software developers. However, those are not just the only in-demand skills. Every business as well needs digital marketers. Without marketing, a business might not thrive.
Exactly.
So social media managers, everybody is opening pages these days. You want a position as a social media manager. Maybe for you, you are in HR, people want talent. So there is opportunity for you. Maybe for you, you're an accounting person, everybody wants their numbers to be right. So for me, in my own opinion, that's why I answered the first question that way, that there had to be something that is revolutionizing your industry. You need to learn that. You don't need to pivot into tech. But what you can leverage on is the new skills in your sector. With that, you can leverage on it. So no matter what sector you are in, what is going on in my sector now? What are the new tools? You can master that without even pivoting into a new skill. But if you think your own next level is learning a new skill, maybe in tech, then go for it.
All right. So now let's talk about these communities. I wouldn't want you to mention names. Like, how can you identify the right platform, like the best platforms to go? There are so many scammers, fraudsters, online fraudsters there. So cybercrime is on the rise now. How can you identify that, yes, this platform is the best platform for me?
Awesome. So there are quite a number of them. Just like you said, we don't need to mention names, but with research, I'm sure our listeners and our viewers will be able to find them out. But there are quite a number of them. There are top 3, top 5, top 2, and top 1, in fact, the largest one that you can access. And what you just need to do is, first, you don't need to pay anybody to open an account on all those platforms. So the moment you get into a platform, they already say you need to pay us first, then you should be wary of that, like, okay, what's going on? Because you don't need to. You can open an account, create an account on these platforms. And you also need to look out for the opportunities you apply for. Because just like, you going there to apply for a job, there are organizations going there to post job. However, you only know yourself. There are people who also go there to scam. So you want to ensure that you're not wasting your time on the wrong jobs. You avoid time wasters. You look at jobs, there are things to look out for. in a job post to understand the credibility of that job. Like, okay, where is the location? What is the budget for this role? Is it realistic? So there are some jobs you see and you are seeing $50. Is it possible that this job is truly $50? But there are some jobs you see also $50,000. Like, is that realistic? That this person pay $50,000 a month? So there are signs. Except greed is really pushing you. There are things you see that you know that, okay, there's something here. However, generally, there are platforms you position for. There are some that are for designers. It's really good for them. There are platforms that every professional can come together and position on. So you do your research. There are quite a number of them that are good.
Okay, now let's talk about a woman. Okay, let me just take for instance a woman who has the administrative skills, and how can such a person position herself in that same community that people will be able to, like recruiters, will be able to search for the person?
Okay, so I call something the 4 Ps. It's one of my coaching methodology, 4 Ps of freelancing or 4 Ps of the gig economy. It's really about, the first P is your profile. So the first thing is you want to set up a profile. Your profile has to capture the keywords. If you're an administrative person, administration should be the keywords in your profile. But as an administrator, what other skills do you need to have? What do you think? So what you can do is to do a quick research. The typical job post that you will see, what are they writing in their job description? What are they looking for? Do you have it? Those are keywords. Use it in your profile. Because if you have it, then position for it. So set up a sound profile. The second P is your portfolio. What have you done before? What project have you worked on before? You want to package that together. So show and let people know, because don't forget, trust is the currency we're also trading with online.
Exactly.
Everybody's trading with trust. They've not seen you before. You've not seen them before. So they are trusting you that you will do the job. You are trusting them that they will pay you. Everybody's working with trust. But one of the ways to also gain their trust ahead of time is to show them that you don't know me, but I've done this before. And these are the samples of the things that I've done. So I call that the portfolio. You put it together. Let it be on your profile as well. Whether it's a screenshot, it's a PDF you downloaded, it's an image you designed, it's an SOP you worked on, put it there. Let them see. The third P would be your proposal. Proposal is really how you get the jobs. That's how you apply for the opportunities. So you want to put together an outstanding proposal that speaks about your capacities, your expertise, your experience, your professionalism, all that you've done, all of your journey and your story, why you're applying for this job and why you qualify for this job. You put it together as a proposal. And the last P that I will talk about is the pricing. So you also need to know your level. Whether you're entry level, you're intermediate level, or you're an expert level. Because that's how you're priced. If you're an entry level person.
But that will be determined by your years of experience.
Exactly. So that's what I was about to say. If you're an entry level, your years of experience maybe 2 years and below, and you are looking for a job of 6 years and above, that's an expert level job. It's fine, you can apply. Maybe by mistake, by chance, they even give you. But can you deliver? Can you truly do it? So you don't want to ruin your portfolio that you're building, your profile that you're building, by doing a job that you're not qualified for, that you can't do. Because if you don't deliver, they will give you a bad review, and that would ruin your credibility.
Yeah.
So people should act their role. That's what I think. Those are the 4 Ps.
All right, thank you so much. Now, how do you think we can create more awareness about this for people to know that they can actually leverage on opportunities like this, women especially?
Awesome. I mean, in my own, there's only a little that we can do, or that I can do, because I've been doing a lot of programs. Every week I have programs. Every single week. It's consistent for the past couple of months. I do trainings, I do this, I do all of that. And I think I see few people in that space doing as well. What we can do is to create more programs like this. Like what you're doing, this is a great job. And awareness for people to know that, see, you don't need to die in silence, whether it's in earning capacity or it's in building your career. There are opportunities online that you can position for. Not everybody goes online to chat. Some of us are making money online.
Yeah.
And some of us are not maybe good with buying and selling. You're a career person. You can also tap into it. So you have a speaking skills. You can speak. There's something for you, right? It's your professional background. There's something for you. So programs like this, I think, would help. If we can access people in clusters as well, group of women in groups, in organizations, in institutions, NYSC, in clusters, you can also create awareness by creating programs for these women where you can find them. That's what I think.
All right. So now let's talk about how we can actually encourage women who are not in tech, who does not have an idea about technology at all, but they are interested in grabbing this opportunity. What are those things that they need to do to actually be relevant in this field?
I would say that let awareness be your priority. Questions are the currency of the future. You have to ask questions. You have to do some research. What is going on around? The world is changing. You can't just fold your hands and say, okay, I don't know technology. Then what is the next step for you? Do you want to learn? Are there platforms you can learn from? Which one is it for you? Because everything might not be for you. So you want to also do a research to say, okay, maybe I have a background in insurance, but I don't want to be a software developer or an engineer. But you want to tap into the opportunities that are in tech. How about moving to insurtech? Maybe you are in bio, you are in health tech. You have a finance background. You don't want to be an engineer. You can move to fintech. You are an HR. You don't want to go and learn programming or coding. HR tech. I can't code right now, but I'm in HR tech. Why? Because I'm working with technologists. I'm working with tech talent. So you can also pivot your industry. Not necessarily even. So it's about learning, awareness, questions. Like, okay, which one is it for me? Which is the best? What do I need to learn? Where do I need to learn it? Go online, do the research. You will find something that would work for you.
Okay, now let's talk about how this gig economy, how it has changed the way we work. I know you talked about that before. Now, there is a general belief that gig work doesn't offer clear career progression. How true is this?
Okay, so one thing that we're moving away from, that people need to realize is we have moved away from how we used to work. And, my mentor would say that, when we were in the Stone Age, and then when we moved away from the Stone Age, and then, we got into the Industrial Age, it did not stop the existence of stone. Stones still exist, rocks still exist, but it just stopped what we used them to do and how we were using them. So the regular 9 to 5 of going to work every day, we're not saying it has stopped. People will still do that. A construction worker, for example, cannot be a gig worker because, you need to construct and mold the block physically.
Exactly.
Right? Apart from architect that can do that online. So there are some industries that you cannot really disrupt in this space, right? But the way we work has changed. So the career path that you are looking at is organization that will provide for you. You are the driver of your career now. You are the manager of your own career. There is no job security anywhere. You are the one to provide the job security. So as a gig worker, yes, it is not a job that they will employ you 5 years, 3 years. No. Some of them are short term. Some of them are 6 months, a year, 3 months, with possibilities of extension, of course. But you need to know that I'm at the driver's seat right now. You can post, for example, I don't do jobs that are less than 6 months. I hardly do. And that is dependent on you getting a good job. If you get a 6-month gig, do a good job, they would extend it. My current clients that I'm working with, I've been working with them since January. This is the 11th month. But at the beginning, they thought it was going to be 6 months. So it means that you're also delivering superior value. So there's possibility of extension. But don't forget, the goal is not to be stuck. We don't want to be, it's not about being stuck to one employer. You're not a remote worker. You are building something here. So I can have 5 clients, create the structures, engage more people, support systems. I'm creating more jobs for people who can't get that. So the goal is to have them. So if this one, we close the contract, another one is activated. I am at the driver's seat, driving my career. That's how it works.
All right. I believe for every profession, there must be challenges associated to it. Yeah, like job hazards, kinds of. So let's talk about the challenges gig workers face.
Quite a number of them. But the first would be internet. If there's no internet, there is no work. Your work is online. And I've seen people lose international opportunities, life-changing opportunities. Just yesterday as well, it still happened because the internet cut them off while they were having these interviews.
Wow.
Is the problem we face in the third world Africa, especially Nigeria.
Yeah.
And there is no support. You are your own, that's why I say you are your own counselor. You are your own support system. If you need one internet, if you cannot work, can you get alternatives? Just 2 days ago in my community, I had to start a conversation to say, guys, somebody just lost an opportunity, and I did a screenshot. This guy just lost an opportunity because during the interview, his internet kept cutting off. Those clients, they don't have time. They move on. You're not the only applicant. So they don't have time to sympathize with you. They don't know what is going on with your country. They don't know that maybe a certain service provider is messing up. No. They had to move on to we're so sorry we reject. Why? They are also conscious of if during interview it's already fluctuating, what will happen when we give you the job? You won't be able to do the job. So it's a challenge we're facing as a third world country.
I hope that is not village people at work.
Sometimes we say village people, but the reality is some of these things, they show up. Even for me, sometimes I'm doing interview, and you think you have it all figured together. You're on IG Live, having a session, internet cut off.
Yeah.
It happens. So sometimes some of us have to gather alternatives to say, you know what, let's have 3. If this one quickly, we switch. So that's a challenge. The number one challenge is internet, in my own opinion. The second would also be accessibility to electricity. Because if you have internet and you don't have light, how do you power your laptop? And so maybe you decide to get a generator, you have to fuel. So you are literally providing all these things. So for me, those are the challenges. And maybe the third, which is not a challenge, if people see, you know, and all of these are challenges, but of course it can be worked over. You can get alternatives. You can get a gel, inverter, all of these alternatives you can get it. The third would maybe communication skills. I think a lot of times, some clients, we think we speak good English in Nigeria, but sometimes they can't hear what you're saying. Like, sorry, can you repeat it again? Can you go over what you said again? So I think this is not about accent modification or accent reduction, but clarity in your speech.
Yes.
Let people get you what
your
you're
message.
saying. Let them get what you're saying. Because that's how you convince them that I can do this job. I might be somewhere in Africa or in Nigeria, because people think, oh, this Nigerians, some countries, some nationalities, they just think, okay, because you're in Africa, you're in one bush. No. So every chance we have to speak with those people is to show them that we can do this job. We can do it.
So now that's the part of the challenges gig workers face. Let's talk about even in the job itself, the challenges that is in the job itself. You and your organization and your recruiter and the person that employed you. What are the challenges that most gig workers face with their employers?
So that is it actually. During work, if your internet keeps going back and forth, they're tired. It's the same thing, whether before the job or during the job. Those 3 factors can still affect.
Don't they have like payments issues, kind of?
No. So, well, now each field, just like physical job that you do, you know, every field have their, you know, peculiar challenges. So maybe your employer is owing you money, or maybe, you know, they are yet to pay salary. For gig workers, the dynamics is different, because some of those platforms, they have something called an escrow account, where they're taking the money from the client. You do the job, they release the money to you. The only issue will be if you don't do the job and the client does not approve. So that is it. So some of these platforms, that's why people need to do their research. Some of these platforms, and that's the one I don't use any platform that doesn't have an escrow system.
That doesn't have what?
Escrow. Escrow system is an escrow account created by, it's like an intermediary. You are the buyer and the seller. So you have the money that you want to pay the seller, or the person selling to you, you can, the third party will create an account, fund that account with the money. When this person delivers the job, I'll pay the person for you. That's an escrow system. So that's what these platforms do. So you as an organization who have posted a job, they deduct the money from you, sort of. And so when the freelancer or the gig worker finishes the job, they are not waiting for you to fund the account to come and pay. They pay because they've deducted it from you. So that sort of offer protection, but there are guidelines to these things as well. That some type of job you would do, or how you do it, that your payments is not protected. There are ways to these things.
Okay, now you said initially that that you cannot go beyond 6 months working for a client, like the contract that you sign with a company.
No, I said I don't like to do below 6 months.
Below 6 months. Okay, below 6 months. Now, are you saying, is it possible for someone to work for more than one client? Like working for like 2-3 different companies at the same time?
Yes. So as a freelancer, that's why you're a freelancer. You're an independent contractor. You're a consultant. As long as your availability permits it, you can work with 100 people. That's why it is different from a remote worker in that sense. Because a remote worker might be employed by an organization, but the way you are doing your job is remotely. Some of them are hybrid, where you come to the office 2 days, you stay. So it's a conflict of interest to be employed by another organization, because they employed you, you have an offer letter. So you are committed to one. But as a freelancer, you are not committed to one.
So it's very possible for you to
contract-based work. So if you have the time, if your time is not taken, you can work with hundreds of clients if you can.
All right, so I want you to still tell us, what are those things that we need to know more, that women need to know more about the gig economy, and why they need to embrace it, on a final note?
Okay, so on a final note, I would like to say that borderlessness and having a borderless career is no longer a conversation of, well, I'm a techie, or, I have to be in technology. No, it's the career of the future. The typical work system is disrupted. Now, this is not even about the naira devaluation and all of that. Having multiple sources of income as women in this age and time is fundamental and very critical. So even if you don't resign your job, you're doing your physical 9 to 5, freelancing on the side can offer you the opportunity to earn in foreign currencies, but at the same time, the flexibility that you desire in terms of multiple sources of income. So if there are things you want to do that your physical job has not given you the time to do, freelancing can offer you the opportunity. And one of the things that I think it also does is it exposes you. So in my career, I've worked with over 10 international organizations. I can't have that privilege if I'm working with only Nigerian brands. So that exposure is something. You can't take it away from me. You can't take it away from my resume. It's my experience, it's my journey. So that alone, if I have a chance to move out of this country to go for any function or anything or anywhere, I'm able to speak to the different cultures that I've worked with because I understand how they work and because I've worked with them. So it offers you a lot. But you need to find something personal that is motivating you to go into this, because when you find that motivation, when the going gets tough, you'll have a reason to keep up with it.
All right, thank you so much. So how would you motivate a girl who's growing up, who's about to begin a career, and why they need to grab this opportunity as well?
Awesome. So I think that the educational system that we have currently, if we're not careful, there's a mismatch between what is being taught in school and what is required in the workplace and in the marketplace. So you see people come out to say there is no job. It's not like there is no job. The jobs that are there are no people to fill it. The people that are available and looking for a job don't have the skills to fill that job. So why not change the way we approach education? If for you want to look at where are the opportunities, where are they existing? So I'm not just reading because that's what my mom wanted me to read, but I'm reading to fill a gap. That okay, there is an opportunity in this place, so I'm going to read for this opportunity. And it aligns with my core. So don't go and read something that when you come out, you have to be praying and be hoping that you get a job. Hope is not a strategy. Anger is also not a strategy. If nobody is providing the opportunities, how about you think of providing it for yourself? What can I study that when I get out, I can provide opportunities, create opportunities for myself? So the motivation will really be, and like I said it earlier, let awareness be your priority. Ask questions, do your research before you make any decision, because it will count in your journey. It will count.
All right, thank you so much for your time, for educating us and enlightening us about this topic.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. I really had a good time.
Thank you so much. Yeah, all right, viewer, thank you so much for staying with us. Just like our guest said, that ask questions. Make sure you ask questions. If you're not clear about anything, you need to make your findings, make research. And to the girl child, I would add to it that you need to discover yourself, discover your passion, discover what you love to do, develop it as well. So thank you so much. We'll go on a short break. Thereafter, wrap up the show. Stay with us. was an impactful conversation with Temitope Olukunle, a global talent consultant. Yes, she has educated us on what the gig economy is all about. And I hope that you will embrace that opportunity, because this is a platform that is so flexible that you will be the driver of your own career, just like our guest today says. So make sure you grab every opportunity and make sure you work on them, as this will give you that hope, that future, that self-confidence that you need. Thank you so much for being a part of today's episode. Next weekend is another great time to bring another amazing Amazon on your screen. I remain Tosin Adeyemi. Bye for now.